Right, good morning everyone and welcome to Warren's Team Talk. Thank you very much for coming back and visiting me on my channel. And today, this is the first clip we've got for this special day. It's a special day in the football calendar. It's FA Cup final day. And I'm absolutely delighted to say I've been joined by a really old friend of mine, old work colleague as well, none other than the legendary Patrick Rogers. Thanks very much for coming, Pat.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure now.
Good, man. Right, Pat, can you just introduce yourself a little bit to anyone who might be watching it? I don't think there's anyone in the chat yet, but still, never mind.
I'm Patrick, born and brought up in North London. So I started going to Arsenal in 1980. So the season that we'd got rid of or lost Liam Brady, and football could be quite a what wasn't exactly the best at the time, particularly after we lost Brady, and going, used to go pretty much every home game back then. It was great, and I used to drag my poor old dad along to it. So that was, there was some highlights back then. Many people that era will remember seeing Pele on the pitch before we beat Villa the day that they won the league.
That's right.
Absolutely packed Highbury. But yeah, so that's why I started watching the Arsenal.
So, Pat, where you lived, was it close to the ground?
So it was, for anyone that knows that part of London, it was a place called Woodbury Down Estate, and Woodbury Down's a vast, sprawling housing estate that went both sides of the Seven Sisters Road. So you could walk to Arsenal in 20, probably.
Right. Okay. Well, that's all right. You can within walking distance then.
It was, yeah.
Not train and bloody tube journey like it was for me, mate.
It was within staggering distance home after I reached the age where I could have a pint.
So this fellow is in the chat now, Dan. Thanks very much for coming, Dan. Nice to see you. He's a young lad. He's a Stockport County fan.
Oh, I've unfortunately had to move away from lovely North London. I'm currently living in Stockport.
You're living near Stockport?
Yeah, I live in Stockport. Yeah, so
really,
so,
yeah, blimey, that I've got memories of that ground, Stockport, and the plot causing loads of trouble for us. But anyway, that's another story. Pat, so let's have a talk about FA Cup final day. What's your earliest memories of FA Cup final day, would you say?
Well, I mean, Mum, God rest her, she told me that I sat glued to the 1978 Cup final, the unfortunate Ipswich Town game, and the only question I had during the entire match was why did Arsenal have such a rude name? And that was 78. We lost that. I can remember 79 a bit more because I was being about 5 by that stage. And what I remember was sitting on the sofa watching the game. We were kind of with Dad at one end and, Mum in the middle, and my two sisters and me at far end. And for some reason, Dad, who never supported Man United in his life, decided that he would cheer on Manchester United, which wasn't too bad. Obviously, we were 2-0 up and cruising the last 5 minutes. Of course, then he goes mad when Gordon Queen scores, and goes even madder when Sammy McIlroy scores. And of course, then Alan Sunderland scored, and we went absolutely berserk and quite in down for a bit.
That was amazing, mate.
Oh, was it? Wasn't it? But then after that, I was thinking about this before the days before coming on. We paid for that cup final afterwards, with West Ham and with Spurs winning 2 afterwards, and with Man United winning the cup final after they knocked us out in 83. But I remember 1980 quite vividly. I remember what you had was, so there's a real community feel about a cup final back then. You would walk down the Seven Sisters Road, and there would be, posters of the team from the Evening Standard up in the window. There'd be scarves, to be banners, to be all over the place. I don't think you really see that as much now. We had our own bit up. We lived on the top floor of a block of flats, and it's not as if Pat Rice or Pat Jennings would wander past, and see that we had the team poster and we had scarves in the windows. But everyone had, or not everyone, Spurs fans wouldn't have had it, but all the Arsenal fans would have had something, to represent their colours in the window. So it was that kind of community atmosphere. Cup final was absolutely lovely. But then 80. So yeah, what I really remember about 80 was all I was 6 by that stage. All we knew that was that Arsenal were a top division side. Arsenal had beaten Liverpool after God knows how many games in the semi-final, after 4 games in the semi-final. West Ham were a second division team, so obviously Arsenal were going to win. Arsenal were going to win this cup final. We didn't. But me and my sister, we were professional about this. We prepared. We took a break from the cup final build up to say a decade of the Rosary and offer up prayers for all the players. And then we sat down as a family and watched the game. And you just remember from the time that Brookins scored, it was quite early on, that sinking feeling of the Arsenal weren't going to do this. And we didn't really understand that they were, that after getting to the UEFA Cup final, after playing all them games against Liverpool, after they were high up in the league, so they had to put out strong sides to try and get into the UEFA Cup. They were just exhausted. The team were just exhausted. So my dad had now decided to support West Ham for the day, and he had. Do you remember you used to be able to go across the road, go into news agents and buy the cup final program? Mm-hmm. So we'd done that in the morning of the game. He got the cup final program afterwards, opened that up on the West Ham team photograph, and then started running around the house of my mum with me chasing him, and my mum shouting at him, "Dad, will you stop torturing the poor boy?" So that was it, and they were my really early memories of the cup finals. So it wouldn't have necessarily been so much about the TV build-up or anything like that, because I was probably a little bit too young to recollect that. I remember that later on as I got older and you'd taken the entire day.
I mean, Pat, did you? Where you were living at the time, was it all Arsenal? Was it just that everyone was Arsenal?
We were so where we would have been on the Seven Sisters Road, it would have been nearer Arsenal's ground than N17. So it would have been majority Arsenal, because it was on the tip of Hackney as well. There's a couple of West Ham there. That was it, but majority Arsenal. A few Spurs, a couple of West Ham around our area.
Yeah, because we don't mention that other lot's name on this channel. Yeah, but I mean, I remember that 1980 final, right? Because I was there. I was at the match. I was 13, I suppose. And we came out. The tube rolled into Wembley Park Station. We came out. And we're walking down Wembley Way, mate. We must have been the only Arsenal fans on that fucking tube. The rest of it was West Ham, and the stick that we got when we was walking down Wembley Way. It was unbelievable. It wasn't. At no point did it become threatening, not at all. But they just were teasing us mercilessly. Absolutely mercilessly. It was hilarious.
Warren, as you know, I'm still scarred by that cup final to this day. It's almost a Pavlovian reaction. I can't, if ever it comes on TV, I still can't look at it. I still can't look at Brookins' goal. For years afterwards, Brookins, geez, every time someone scored a headed goal, and he was doing the analysis, he said, "Well, I never really scored from headers apart from this one time." Just thinking, "Shut up, Brookin. We know what happened." That was devastating, because it was you know, when you're that age, you don't really, you know, there was no live football apart from the cup final, England internationals, you know, maybe European Cup final. So you had the big match and match of the day, and you know, often big matches on after bedtime. So you might get the match of the day would be on after bedtime. Big match would be on Sunday afternoon. So yeah, context of football really was the cup final. It was the absolute pinnacle of what was going on. It was the only game that you'd like sit down and watch all the way through, and it would have this build up. So there was something really special and unique about it.
Yeah, it was, because back then there wasn't loads of live games. Like nowadays, it's like maybe nearly every day there's a game on the TV, isn't there?
Don't get me started on TV companies ruining fixture lists and
exactly.
things up like that. That's another.
If you've got the money and you want to do it, you can watch a game, every live game on TV every week. Back then, it was the FA Cup final and a few international games, and not necessarily international games as well. You might get like highlights, like particularly of the away games or something like that. Do you know what I mean? And
you get the home internationals at the end of the year. England, Scotland's always the big one.
Oh, mate, there's someone at the door. Can you just give me a sec?
Yeah, of course.
Sorry, mate. I don't know who it is. Hold on a second. I'll be back in a minute.
And sorry, Dan, take time to reply to your comment. No, I can't get up to Edgeley this Sunday. I've not been up to Edgeley in a couple of seasons actually, so I should try to get back up there.
Yeah, sorry about that, horse.
That's all right, Keith.
Yeah, so I was just some neighbour wanting to drop something off for me. So you never know what's going to happen from 1 minute to the next round there. Yeah, so what was you saying, Pat?
What were we talking about? So we were talking about, so the cup final was effectively the pinnacle. Yeah. It was the only live game. It was the only live domestic club match on TV. You get the internationals. You get a European Cup final on TV. But so in context of winning the game, and particularly that West Ham game, didn't necessarily really understand the league structure, or because you weren't watching live games all the time. So it really was special, the cup final. The fact that it was so unique in the calendar. And the whole lead up to it, the press would be full of what was going to happen. Who was someone injured? Who was going to be fit for a game? That was the way that that's the way that the cup final was portrayed. It was the absolute pinnacle of football. And I'm saying that it's changed over the course of time with increasing live football and with the the money that's being pumped into the Premiership and the Championship, meaning that teams concentrate on that more now. So so unfortunately it isn't the pinnacle that it was back then.
Yeah, because back in the day, right, it was only one of the few occasions that you got to see live football on TV, like broadcast live.
Yeah.
And they used to make a real big deal out of the cup final as well. Like the coverage would start like we've done this morning, about 10 o'clock in the morning. And then it'd go right the way through to the match. And then there'd be stuff after the match as well. And there would be no other football that weekend. That'd be it. FA Cup, and that was it. And it was always after the season had finished.
Last game of the season. It was the curtain call for the season back then.
Yeah, exactly. And I was absolutely horrified to see that they've gone back to what they did a few years ago, where it was played not at the end of the season.
Well, that was ridiculous. That was the City Stoke final, and that was the day that Man United won the league as well. So it really kind of devalued it devalued both fixtures. Both Man United win the league and City winning the cup, because the whole point about the cup final is that the whole focus should be on the culmination of that tournament.
Exactly.
And the whole point of someone winning the league is that the whole focus should be on that. That was just idiotic timing from the from both the FA, the Premier League, and TV companies.
Exactly, mate. And this year we've got a Premier League match day next weekend, and I think there's some games. There's games tomorrow, and then games during the week as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that makes me really angry, because I just think it's devaluing the cup.
And I think the thing about it is that because the FA Cup is it's not a unique tournament, because every country has their own cup competitions, but because of the history of it, people can be quite protective about it. And every year the talk is about, is the cup devalued? Is the cup, not taken as seriously as it was? Well, we know it's not. But then the FA don't do anything, or the Premier League don't do anything to help it out by making these bizarre decisions to say that it has to be played on the same day as league games, that it's not the last game of the season that everyone can look forward to. It's still, it's still on terrestrial TV, which is a great thing, at least. So it's free to air, free to access, so people can get together and watch the game.
Yeah.
But but if you want to stop having this conversation, I think it's very difficult to stop having it, because I don't think the FA Cup will ever go back to what it was anyway. Then you have to make these decisions to say it's last game of the season. It's the only game going to be that day, and it's going to be something that clubs make more of an effort in.
Yeah. So, Pat, that leads me quite nicely on to my next question, right? What can we do, or what can the authorities do to get back the FA Cup with the status it used to have back in the day when we were kids? Because I don't think it has got that status anymore. I've got two ideas about what they can do, but what do you think, mate?
I don't think that you can ever bring it back to the status that it had for numerous reasons. I mean, when you look at the season, right? When you look at the history of football, initially, you would have the cup and the league, and then late 50s, early 60s, you had the advent of the League Cup and British clubs or English clubs going into European competition. So that meant there was more trophies, more football to be played. And then that kind of takes the edge off it, because it's not the main, stops being the main focus at that stage. Then when you have the increase in revenue coming in with the Premier League, when you have the growth of tournament places for the Champions League, it means that clubs' focus won't be on the FA Cup. So, for example, right, in January, FA Cup starts in January. There might be 7 clubs looking at Champions League qualification, and they will prioritise that over the FA Cup, so they will put out the reserve and youth players. Similarly, at the other end of the table, because of the values and the riches of getting into the Premier League, January you might have 6 or 7 sides worrying about relegation. So they're not going to put out the first team. Top of the championship, exactly the same. You've got maybe 10 teams looking at going up or playoff places. So that means it's quite difficult to have the status of the FA Cup as what it was, because there's money there. On top of that, if you look back in the day, teams had to play the first 11 because they simply didn't have the squad. You look when, say, Villa won the league in 1980, they used 13 players during that season. Now you've got, how many players do you have? Where do the numbers end at football? So it's physically possible for clubs to put out reserve teams and youth reserve teams for the FA Cup. They couldn't really do that back in the day. So all that means that it's quite difficult for the cup to retain the magic or the status of the kudos that it has. I think what clubs should look at is, or what the FA should look at is direct qualification to the Champions League. So get rid of.
I think so. I think that's the key to it. For me, both competitions, the Premier League and the FA Cup, are run by the same organisation. What I would do is look at removing the 4th place in the Premier League for direct qualification into the Champions League and give it to the FA Cup winner.
Yeah.
Stop all this nonsense of people fielding weakened sides, and the people would take it seriously.
They would absolutely
get them into the Champions League, mate. That's what I think.
They would absolutely begin to take it seriously. They would, because that's what you want. That's what the Holy Grail is for the vast majority of clubs, or in certainly in top flight, is to get into the Champions League and get that well. And that's one way of doing it. And you might get a lucky draw in the cup. You might get luck in one round. You might get a dodgy penalty or whatever. But to win a cup competition takes a specific kind of football, and teams can be built to play that football. So it's not as if going into the Champions League isn't an honour that's earned by a club. It's earned by playing. Going from the 3rd round onwards, being able to survive, tough games away from home, being able to survive, playing other big clubs, because there's not many teams will win the FA Cup by playing pony teams all the way through. You'll get a difficult draw somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
So
exactly, mate.
So
exactly.
It's earned.
So, Pat, we're nearly coming to the end now. So, I do want to say one other thing about that. Yeah, go on.
First, on a more positive spin, right? If you look at attendances for the FA Cup, my first FA Cup game was 1983 against Bolton, and there was only 22,000 at it. Right? I checked the attendance today. If you had a 3rd round game at Arsenal, there would be 60,000 at it. So people do still go. They are still interested in it. Clubs should remember, and fans should remember, that if you devalue the FA Cup now, for a club like Arsenal or any other club that's won the FA Cup, you're also devaluing part of your own history, because fans will not give the kudos of an FA Cup. Of an FA Cup when back in the day, the kudos that it deserves. It should be something that's respected, because it devalues your own club's history when you don't respect it.
Yeah, no, you're 100% bang on, mate. You, as always, Pat. So, I just want to thank you very much for coming on, Pat, and sharing your memories, experiences, and thoughts about the FA Cup. I'm really, really grateful for you doing that and taking time out your day and whatnot.
Lovely stuff, Warren. It's an absolute pleasure, as usual.
Thank you, Pat. Do you want to? Is there anything you want to tell everyone about if they want to ask questions to you or get in contact with you, how they can do that?
I'm a Luddite. I have a Twitter account that I hardly ever use. I just cannot stand it.
It's probably better, mate, to be honest. I know you're on Instagram as well, aren't you?
Sorry?
You're on Instagram as well, aren't you?
I am on Instagram, actually. I've only just learned how to use that as well. So my other love outside Arsenal is Celtic. So it's Lisbon 250567, where you'll see the odd picture of pints of Guinness and football grounds.
Exactly. Right. Do you have a YouTube channel or anything like that?
I don't know. I just don't, I can't work anything like that at all.
Oh dear, God bless you, Pat. Listen, mate, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
No problem at all, mate. It was an absolute pleasure. It was great. It was, with something like this, it's not just great to talk about it, but of course, when you're going into it, it's great to be able to relive the memories and go back and start thinking about things like cup finals of the past, and what the FA Cup means to you as a fan and means to football in general. So it's lovely to be able to think about things like that.
100%, mate. Listen, big love to you and your family, mate.
Thanks very much. I will speak to you. I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Pete. Take care and have a great day. Enjoy the match.
Okay, will do too. God bless now. Bye now.
All right, cheers, mate. Take care. Bye-bye. Yeah.